City of New Haven Public Notice Health and Human Services Committee. Thursday, April 22nd, 2021 at 6 p.m. And the Health and Human Services Committee of the New Haven Board of Alders will meet on Thursday, April 22nd, 2021 at 6 p.m. online at the URL provided and by phone at 301-715-8592 or 312-626-6799 with a webinar ID that is provided on the public notice, along with the password that is also published on the public notice. To hear and act on the following legislative matter 2021-0121, resolution of the Board of Alders of the City of New Haven authorizing the mayor of the City of New Haven to submit a proposal and accept an award the Kindle Foundation in the amount of not exceeding $250,000 over a period of 2 years for the Food System Policy Division to identify, research, and develop a series of plans and activities that will create an enabling environment for food, entrepreneurship, and values-based institutional food procurement, and in which all residents will be equitably benefit from the positive environmental, health, and socioeconomic outcomes of a just and sustainable food system. Legislative Matter 2021-0122, resolution of the Board of Alders of the City of New Haven authorizing the mayor of the City of New Haven to submit an application to the Connecticut Department of Agriculture in the amount not to exceed $75,000 over the 3 years for the Food Policy System Division to partner with the community members of the organizations to develop a series of plans and activities that will create an enabling environment for urban agriculture, specifically for specialty crop production and market opportunities in New Haven, so that all residents will be equitably benefiting from the positive environmental, health, and socioeconomic outcomes of urban agriculture. Per the Honorable Darrell J. Brackeen Jr., Chair attests Honorable Michael B. Smart, City Town Clerk, for accessibility related accommodations. Please call 203-946-7833 voice or 203-946-8582 prior to the meeting. To view the meeting, go to Board of Alders YouTube channel or the URL link posted on the public notice. You may send public testimony or sign up by emailing the following email address at publictestimony@newhavenct.gov or calling 203-946-7934 no later than 2 p.m. of the day of the meeting, which has passed. But if you are submitting public testimony, you can still do so at publictestimony@newhavenct.gov. We'll begin the meeting by introductory points of members of the Health and Human Services Committee only, starting with my vice chair.
Alder Ron Hurt, Vice Chair, Ward 3.
Alder Winter.
Alder Steve Winter, Ward 21.
Alder Kupo.
Alder Ellen Kupo, Ward 8.
Alder Saban.
Alder Eli, Ward 1.
Thank you. All members have been accounted for. I'd like to thank colleagues for joining us, who will be probably joining us for the later meeting. Alder Douglas and Third Officer DeCola, and the Majority Leader, the Honorable Richard, what's his name? Furlough. I'm not going to do that to you. Okay, so who we have here today? Participants. Okay. Let's bring them on in to testify. Please state your name and addresses for the record, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Brackeen and members of the committee and guest alders. My name is Behul Dalal, Community Services Administrator, reside at 115 Linden Street in New Haven.
Hi, everyone. I'm Latha Swami. I'm the Director of Food System Policy for the City of New Haven, and I reside at 52 Giles Street in Hamden, Connecticut.
I'm going to say very little, except to say that we're very excited about the initiatives that Latha Swami is going to present and the resources that will be made available to the city for the purposes of advancing urban agriculture and other initiatives beyond urban agriculture.
Thanks. And if the chair is okay with it, I do have some slides that I could share, but am happy to do that without the slides as well, if that's preferred.
It is okay, except if we're having some technical difficulties at the moment. I'm not sure if he's able to do that. If not, unfortunately, we might have to go without.
Maybe I'll just wait a few seconds and see if that function comes up.
I would need Alder Furlow to switch over the host second so that we could do that.
Great, thank you. Great. So hello, everyone, and happy Earth Day. Today, I'll share very briefly about the work of the division and as it relates to health, climate, resilience, and equity, and some of the resources we are pursuing to get this work done. So the Food System Policies Division's mission is to support and help manifest community-led efforts that envision and create an environmentally sustainable and socially just food system. We operate through a food justice framework and across 3 thematic priorities: health equity, socioeconomic justice, and environmental justice. The core of these 3 themes spotlight our goal of developing and supporting anti-racist food, farming, and land use policies. The ideal project or policy would fall at the intersection of these priorities, as many of our current projects do. We strongly focus on addressing root causes and striving for systemic change, that is, tackling upstream solutions such as economic security and secure land access for system-wide impact. Additionally, there are approximately only 20 other food policy directors housed in municipal government in the US. Therefore, New Haven really has a unique opportunity to continue to lead in the urban food policy space. Since its inception in 2016, the division has not been allocated a programmatic budget. Therefore, in order to accomplish our work, it is necessary for us to pursue outside funding. Just to quickly give you all an idea of the breadth of our portfolio, here's a quick overview of some of the threads of our current work, including urban agriculture, community composting, equitable sugar reduction approaches on the population level, food entrepreneurship, values-based procurement, and food systems data and mapping. To address today's agenda items, the Food System Policy Division is pursuing 2 grants: the Kendall Foundation 2021 New England Food System Grant Program for up to $250,000, and the Connecticut Department of Agriculture Specialty Crop Block Grant for up to $75,000. So the Kendall Foundation grant proposal, which is for an invite-only grant program, focuses on 2 main threads of work: food entrepreneurship and values-based procurement. Food entrepreneurship plays a unique and vital role in New Haven's food ecosystem. The array of entrepreneurial pathways in New Haven, ranging from chefs, caterers, food truck operators, bakers, value-added producers, and packaged food and beverage makers, makes New Haven both a launch pad and a landing area to grow and settle all types of food businesses. By providing entrepreneurs with the right regulatory, information, and financial support, the Food System Policy Division can help strengthen the local food system and build community prosperity, in turn creating a more vibrant community. Supporting entrepreneurship across the spectrum can serve as one tool to achieve a wide variety of community impact goals. from job creation to workforce training, healthy food access to nutrition education, farm viability to localizing the food economy, and from neighborhood revitalization to tourism. Food-based entrepreneurship also provides opportunities for historically marginalized populations since it has a low barrier to entry and it's directly scalable. Broadly, we envision New Haven as a place where food-based entrepreneurs build their businesses, hospitality students intern, re-entering residents train and connect with food-based jobs, urban farmers connect with potential client businesses, existing food-based businesses innovate, and community members improve their health and strengthen their social bonds through food. At an even broader systems level, public officials have the opportunity and responsibility to leverage their power and expertise to address the current trajectory of chronic disease in the US. Half of the adults in the US have one or more preventable chronic diseases, many of which are diet-related. In New Haven, low-income, Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities endure disproportionately worse health outcomes and increased mortality rates because of systemic and structural inequities, including higher rates of chronic disease, especially among food insecure individuals. Therefore, it is critical that public officials engage in public health prevention strategies. Food procurement, the process through which institutions purchase and serve food, offers powerful opportunities for public officials to partner with public institutions to prioritize accessibility to nutritious, sustainable, and fairly produced food, and to generate sustained benefit to population health. The process by which these institutions purchase raw and prepared foods and beverages is a valuable tool to prioritize accessibility to foods that are not only nutritious, but also produced in a way that upholds the principles of equity and sustainability throughout the supply chain. We also believe that supporting institutions to communicate their food purchasing values and to develop and market a values-based buying system that includes local and regional foods will stimulate the market and help institutions play their part in setting and meeting regional farm-to-institution and statewide farm-to-school goals. We are currently exploring the Good Food Purchasing Program, which is a national framework adopted by several cities already to improve transparency and accountability in public food procurement, focused on the values of support for local economies, environmental sustainability, valued workforce, nutritional health, and animal welfare. Both initiatives, food entrepreneurship and values-based institutional food procurement, are in direct alignment with recommendation 3 under 2 years in the environment and climate change section in the Mayor's Transition Report to support and expand policy initiatives and collaborations in food systems. Potential funding from the Kendall Foundation would provide the Food Policy Division with the unique opportunity to thoroughly identify, research, and develop the policy changes necessary to create an enabling environment for both food entrepreneurs and values-based institutional food procurement, in turn moving us toward health equity, environmental justice, and more vibrant communities. These projects will be performed in collaboration with the communities that have been most impacted by structural and systemic inequity to ensure that these changes meet their needs. The second grant proposal for the Connecticut Department of Ag Specialty Crop Block Grant Program focuses on urban agriculture. While New Haven has a vibrant urban ag community like many other cities, limited training and market opportunities have been slow to accommodate its growth. This is especially so for specialty crops, which is defined by the US Department of Agriculture as fruits and vegetables, dried fruit, tree nuts, horticulture, including maple syrup and honey, and nursery crops like flowers. The Food System Policy Division would like to better use its close community partnerships and in-house expertise to support local food systems and urban growing in each neighborhood. For example, the Food Policy Division would be able to address specialty crop access and competitiveness by engaging with local partners to provide an urban ag education workshop series in parallel with and complementary to our ongoing development of New Haven's first urban ag master plan. Also in collaboration with local organizational and business stakeholders, the Food Policy Division will connect with both emerging and established food entrepreneurs and culinary professionals to engage them in hyper-local urban ag efforts. Moreover, in order to better support urban growers, especially Black, Brown, low-income, new, beginning, and otherwise socially disadvantaged farmers, to start or further expand their pursuit of urban specialty crop cultivation, The division, in partnership with neighborhood residents and other city agencies such as the public library system, will establish community-led, publicly accessible seed libraries of culturally relevant crops throughout New Haven. Complementary to our USDA grant-funded Urban Ag Master Plan process, the Specialty Crop Block Grant funding will help us reach a substantially larger population through comprehensive educational opportunities, the collection and introduction of culturally appropriate seeds and crops to our local food system. Ultimately, the Food System Policy Division is committed to creating a just and equitable local food system in New Haven by identifying root causes of food insecurity and overcoming these obstacles with sustainable, high-impact solutions. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. Actually, I'll start off around the questions, just out of curiosity. So in applying for this grant, will your department oversee the work that is to be done, or is this to be partnered with other organizations? How do you see this actually rolling out?
Yeah, so the division will be overseeing the plans and activities for each of the proposed grants. And we will be working in close partnership with community organizations and residents who may not be affiliated with organizations. For both of the grants, we have allocated some resources in the budget to have designated people coordinate the plans and activities for each grant.
Okay. Are there any other questions from members of the committee? Okay, Alder Winter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I have a question about the specialty products. My wife, Emily, and I made maple syrup for the first time this year. And it got me thinking about how, like, there are thousands of maple trees in the city, you know, in the tree belt, and whether that's like something that a program like this could take advantage of. The kids who live near us thought it was so cool that they could make use of this sap that came out of the tree. We had a lot of fun with it, and it struck me as something that, like, maybe you could do this all over the place in the spring. Is that something, is that like a possibility this could enable? Is that safe? Is that?
Yeah, no, I love that you mentioned that, because we specifically wrote maple sugaring as a workshop within the series of workshops in our grant. And I mean, I know Emily, so it's definitely, we've reached out to some people at the Yale School of Forestry who actually teach the maple sugaring systems class. And we included them in our grant proposal, if we were to receive it, that we could work with them to actually lead some workshops in maple sugaring for the city. For example, Common Ground already leads a workshop in maple sugaring. And they, you know, work with the kids to tap the trees. And so yeah, that's actually a specific piece of our grant that me and my team are extra excited about.
Very exciting. Thank you, Director Swami. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions from members of the committee? I must admit, I'm very excited about the topic. I realize we are alders, but we are also residents. I was just wondering how, once the grants are disseminated and it's decided, or, well, actually, my first question is, do you need, hopefully we get the grant, once we receive it, is it possible for you to follow up with this committee in particular in terms of like supporting and marketing and getting the information out? Is that possible?
Yeah, that would be possible and very welcomed. I would love support. Yeah.
And then part two of that question is, it has been a part of my mission at some point to have this committee go on a field trip in particular. And I would love for us to, figure out if there's ever a place or a space or a time for us to support individual and or an organization that you think would want a bunch of alders around to help and build and take part in doing something. I want us to collect this committee. This is very selfish. I want this committee. I might invite the other alders, I'm not sure. But I want this group to kind of collectively work on something. If you can just keep us in mind, that would be extremely appreciated and very much welcomed.
Yes. No, thank you so much. I would absolutely love that. And that would, just, create more momentum around this work. And I welcome that any day.
Any other questions or comments from members of the committee? Alder Kubo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I apologize in advance that my dog is really hungry and I haven't fed her yet. So if she starts to whine and bark, that's why. She's right there. Thank you so much, Director Swami, for coming and presenting. I just had a question about, I see in your budget for the Kendall Foundation funding, I wondered, one, is it possible, would that be an ongoing grant? Is it something that there would be a plan to continue to apply for it, post 2023? And if so, the food policy analyst, is that a position that would be continually funded on that grant, or that would require other funding for the position?
Yeah, so the Kendall Foundation grant is for a grant program that was invite only, but actually the Kendall Foundation originally funded the division when it was first established.
Mm-hmm.
So they have expressed interest and excitement in how the division has grown, based on their seed funding. And so I definitely do get the feeling from them, and they've actually been quite explicit that they are excited to continue to support this work.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can't say for sure what their feelings would be about the position, but I feel very confident in our current relationship with them.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. That's really great to hear. I want to echo what the chair said before and kind of add, and my colleague Alder Winter, just throw my excitement behind this. I think this is a phenomenal program to come to New Haven. I think any funding, right? Like if we can actually tackle systemic racism at every level of our government, particularly when it comes to food, I'm ready to throw my weight behind that. So thank you so much for coming today. And thanks for presenting.
Any other questions from members of the committee or comments? Alder Sabin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to follow up on my colleague from Ward 8's question. So if the grant runs out in a couple of years, just explain what will happen to the position and this work. That would be appreciated.
Yeah. So both grants.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. So for the specialty crop block grant, that is a grant that is available every year. It's actually a USDA funded grant, and it is just managed by the State Department of Agriculture. So I do believe that, my plan would be to continue to apply for funding to continue programming around that. For the Kendall Foundation grant, I feel confident in my relationship with them. Kendall Foundation is a foundation that specifically works on food systems work in New England. And there's actually quite a lot of regional work happening among all the New England states. And I, as though the interest around that, and especially in relation to, for example, like regional procurement and localizing the food system and creating more resilient food systems. New England is so small compared to the rest of the country, especially in terms of food systems. I think the funding in this area is only going to grow, especially as we're responding to the past year of working through COVID-19 and food system supply chain issues. So I do feel like there would be continued interest in this topic, and my plan would be to continue to tap into those external resources.
That's great to hear. As my colleagues have said, this is very important work. So it's great to hear that we're going to have money available to make this happen going forward. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions or comments from members of the committee? Mr. Vice Chair. Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I like my other colleagues, I am excited about what we've saw and heard on tonight. Director Sweeney, please continue doing a good job that you're doing. In my ward, in my community, the Hill, we are it's important to us, and the young people. I like to see them interact. As a child, I did a lot of gardening, and we had to do that down south. To I don't want those days. I don't mind doing it, but I don't want to do it now. I had enough time. But but those were the days, Mr. Chair. But I like to see others, young people interacting, doing a good job. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to seeing the outcome. It's exciting. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, to continue the commentary, just a little, it's just this pandemic has opened a lot of eyes surrounding food and kind of coming back to nature and like growing your own food has really become top of mind for many. So this couldn't be even any more timelier. And in alignment with that, it's my understanding that on the national level, through the American Rescue Act, there's a lot of places and spaces where many departments from the top down are really getting a lot of funding. And I'm just curious if the agricultural department and USDA, and were they affected? Are there any funds that you foresee coming down the pipe through these funds possibly? Or I just want to know your thoughts. I know it has nothing to do with presentation, but.
Yeah, I can comment on the USDA piece, but otherwise defer to Dr. Dalal if you want to start off, and then I can add in.
Yeah, so I think this is a really unique opportunity with respect to the funds that are coming down. I think we obviously the rescue plan bill has passed, and we're hoping to see 96 million, potentially more dollars coming into New Haven as a municipality with no other pass-throughs, which is a tremendous opportunity. And the mayor will be announcing more details about how the public engagement and input process will be there, and of course the alders will be closely involved. So I think that's sort of a larger pot of flexible funds that, given that we have this momentum around urban agriculture and food related initiatives, I think there's certainly opportunity there to think about how we could use those funds, especially if there's a number of scenarios where we could identify, win-wins, like, jobs for returning citizens, creating healthy food, or creating some sort of co-op with individuals experiencing homelessness with their, so there's so many possibilities in that arena. And Latha, do you want to talk a little bit about USDA?
Yeah, there's some kind of what's gotten a lot of press with the USDA around this funding is they are allocating a lot towards what they specifically call socially disadvantaged farmers. That includes women, veterans, and BIPOC farmers. And this is actually directly in response to addressing previous racist practices that the USDA upheld and perpetuated around land, access and tenure, and even resources around like farm loans. So there is some work around that coming down the pike, but yet I think the details around that are still being figured out. And I'm very interested in seeing what that means for urban areas, because obviously people immediately think of rural areas. So I meet bi-weekly with the other food policy directors around the country. And actually our next discussion is around ARPA funding, which I'll be facilitating with them. And this is under the umbrella of the US Conference of Mayors. So we get a lot of information on how we can best leverage some of that for urban areas.
Alder Winter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Swamy, on that note of the fact that we are a very urban area and that the, things taking root in the soil may or may not be a healthy thing. Are there models that other communities have adopted for testing and remediating to allow for more access to the land?
Yeah, there's some cool soil health stuff happening in urban areas around the country, and especially with municipalities. Philly is one example. They're also going through an urban ag master planning process, and some other cities. Part of the grant, the proposal is to get basically some resources so that someone could join my team to dedicate toward researching those policies that would, as I mentioned, create an enabling environment and support growth in this realm. But for example, one of the workshops that we put into the grant is also like a carpentry and construction workshop, so that people are provided training in how to construct and put up raised beds or any other sort of alternative growing method that does not require them to grow directly in like ground soil.
Is the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station part of the plan for this? They're like kind of in our backyard, but under the radar, it seems.
Yeah, no, great question. And they are, and very interestingly, some of you may have seen, but maybe not. They actually have a position open right now for a food security and urban ag scientist. So they're actually, urban ag is becoming very big right now. The USDA just recently put out a call for a federal advisory committee on urban ag. So it's gaining a lot of, it's becoming a hot topic. So the Ag Extension is hiring for an urban ag position, as well as Yukon. They're hiring for an urban ag. The Ag Experiment Station is hiring for an urban ag scientist, and Yukon Ag Extension is hiring for an urban ag person as well. So we imagine working with these new individuals and these existing institutions to help guide our work as well. And I'm close with all of them and they're aware of the grants, and some have provided letters of support.
It seems like elsewhere in Connecticut, there's a lot of interest in hemp, not cannabis, but hemp.
Yep.
And is that something that has a place in an urban setting, or is that more like a big open fields, you need lots and lots of space sort of crop?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to answer that because I'm not so knowledgeable on urban growing practices with hemp. But actually pre-COVID, we had started slowly researching that because we knew it was coming soon for Connecticut. But that's something that we could definitely revisit and do more research on, but I don't have the answer to that right now.
Thanks. I was just curious because it did seem like something the state was talking about liberalizing. So
yeah,
I think this is super exciting, and it would be wonderful, a year from now to have you and your team, your larger team, then, revisit this issue before the committee. If the chair were amenable to that, I imagine he would be. Thank you, Director. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Director Swami.
Any other questions from members of the committee? This was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Are there any members of the public wishing to testify on this item? Are there any other members of the public wishing to testify on this item? Are there any other members of the public wishing to testify on this item? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion to close the public portion of this hearing.
So moved.
Hearing moved, do I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing moved in second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstention, the public portion of this meeting
Aye.
has been closed. The chair will entertain any motions at the pleasure of the committee.
Mr. Chair, I move the 2 grant items.
Second.
Hearing it move in second, all discussion. Alder Winter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It seems like there is a lot of excitement on the committee for the potential this grant holds to, tap into the existing talent and resources in the city and to develop new skills around urban agriculture and some of the specialty, urban crops that we could grow right here in New Haven. So I think it's really exciting that these resources would enable the food policy division to expand their team and extend their mission to these new opportunities and hopefully to every neighborhood in the city. So I'm excited to support this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other alders? Seeing none, we'll now move this item to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? The item passes. The chair will entertain a motion by any members of the committee.
I move we adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Just to be clear, did we just move both items?
Yeah.
Okay, great. No, we didn't.
I believe we did.
We did. I don't know, Mr. Chair. My internet is acting crazy over here, so I went in and went out, So maybe you did. I'm sorry.
Mr. Alder Winter said that he moved both grant items.
Oh, that's okay. That was an interesting way of wording that. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. We'll consider that to be 2. Okay. Entertainment for an adjournment. Did I hear a second?
Second.
Hearing move in second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposition, abstention. It shouldn't be. We have a meeting in 20 minutes, so come right back. Are we still on the same line, Al?
You are.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.